But Sashi Krishnan, CIO at Birla Sun Life Insurance, joins us now on the show. Sashi, hi, morning. The markets have gotten fairly lethargic in the last couple of trading sessions. What's the sense that you're getting? I mean, are we seeing any allocation from FIIs towards our markets?
I think FII allocations have, slowed down a bit, given, the fact that emerging markets have gone through some kind of turmoil. Because emerging markets have gone through some kind of turmoil, the overall allocations to emerging markets have come down quite a bit. India obviously has held out against, a lot of the turmoil we are seeing in emerging markets, especially on the currency side. And the rupee has, been fairly stable. But in spite of that, I think, given that there is this contagion effect, you will see lower allocations to emerging markets, at least for some time to come.
Shashi, if I map what India has done versus other markets, we are a standout outperformer in terms of percentage appreciation, in terms of total allocation. Do you think that is the new trend we should focus on, irrespective of what is happening to emerging markets, which were always considered as a basket, as more like an homogeneous basket? India now has a serious scope to differentiate going forward?
Well, in the last couple of weeks, obviously, India has held out. Given the fact that we've had, depreciation in Argentina, we've got, Turkey going through a lot of political upheaval. You've seen the government in Egypt sort of being dissolved. Given all that's happening in emerging markets, obviously India has held out. But I think I would be cautious out here because eventually, if you look at a lot of the allocations that come into emerging markets, much of the allocation comes through exchange traded funds, and very often the ETFs will, especially the emerging market ETFs, will move in the same direction, and therefore it is not necessary that India will stand out. Obviously, the India dedicated funds could still allocate money to India, given that there is a little more confidence in the macros. But I would still be cautious out here and not take this argument too far.
So, what is your current approach? Glass half full approach or glass half empty approach?
Well, if you look at it holistically, I would tend to think that you are seeing improving macros in India. We've seen both the deficits improving significantly, with the fiscal deficit being contained at 4.8%, with the current account deficit coming to less than 2%, possibly at the end of this year, and therefore the currency being relatively stable. If you look at inflation, I think inflation is easing. We've had CPI coming down to 8.8%, and though core CPI is still at 8.1%, I would suspect that as we go into the rest of the year, we will see some easing out there. And if you look at the quarter results, especially for most of the large cap companies, if you sort of analyze the Nifty earnings, you would see that you've seen revenue growth at something like 14%. You've seen EBITDA and EBIT growth at something like around 15-16%. So growth also hasn't been not too bad for corporate India, and therefore I would be reasonably positive. Though of course we have a couple of events as we go into the next 3-4 months. That could result in some kind of volatility, but I would on the whole still be positive.
So Sashi, what's the right approach that you would give to our viewers? How should one approach A, the pre-poll phase, and B, how important is it whichever party comes to power, because good companies would still continue to grow?
Correct. In fact, I've always held an opinion that politics is really not a big danger to equity markets, and therefore I would not get too worried about those people who intend remaining invested for the medium to long term in Indian equity. I would not actually suggest anybody trying to, bet into a pre-poll rally, because obviously the political situation is still very fluid, and I don't think it's worth the risk to bet into a pre-poll rally. And I mean, given the fact that this market is going to be a market of two distinct halves, one, the pre-poll phase, where a lot of the news that's coming out, a lot of the noise that is coming out because of the political activity will impact markets. I think it would be important to concentrate on the post-poll phase, on the assumption that we would get a reasonably stable government as we go into June, July. And I would believe that whoever comes, as you rightly said, whoever comes into power post the polls, they have very little choices but to ensure that growth comes back, to ensure that we consolidate on the fiscal front, to ensure that we do enough on the supply side to bring down inflation. And I would suspect that the economic agenda of, all of them would be very, very similar. And therefore, I would think that, looking for good opportunities in terms of stock picking would be the right approach at that point of time. From a broader sectoral perspective, I would think that at this point of time, I would still hold on to the fact that I will continue to play global growth rather than, trying to play cyclical so early into the year. And I would sort of take a view on, cyclicals, banking, and some of those sectors, once we are a little clearer as to, how economic policy and the reform process, is rolled out post the elections.
So let me just break your portfolio on air. Overweight IT, overweight private banks, overweight select pharmas, and minor exposure to autos. Will this current portfolio strategy change irrespective of the big event which is election, or are you happy to maintain and stick to this portfolio strategy for another 1 year?
Yeah, Nikunj, this portfolio is actually positioned as we move into the election, because as I told you, we want to continue to play the global growth story at this point of time, and that is why we are overweight IT and we are overweight pharmaceuticals. And I think we are overweight IT because we're seeing that not only is the IT sector gaining from the depreciation in the rupee, but it is also, making a lot of, we are seeing a lot of new order wins. We're seeing margins improving in the IT sector. And I think as we go into 2014-15, this is one sector that should sort of be able to hold on to the gains it has made over the last couple of quarters. Same is the case with pharmaceuticals, because though the domestic pharmaceutical industry has been through some kind of a slowdown, we're seeing that the US generics market is still doing very, very well, and I think most Indian pharmaceutical companies that are exposed to the US generics market have been able to show both top line and margin improvements in the last couple of quarters. So we will continue to be exposed out there. We did play the banking sector through the private banks, because we believe that as economic growth comes back, the first sector to give you, the big move will be the banking sector. And we would obviously like to play those banks that are better positioned in terms of, the quality of book and the ability to weather out this, this problem with the banking sector is facing in terms of, non-performing assets. We have, marginal exposure to the auto sector. And if you look at the last quarter, the autos have done extremely well, both on, revenue growth and EBIT. Obviously, many of the auto companies that are exposed to overseas markets have done better than the sort of auto companies that are exposed to domestic demand. And I think we will keep it that way for some time. So broadly, we are playing the global sort of growth story, and we are selectively playing domestic demand that is not going to be impacted by this volatility we expect in the next couple of months.
Shashi Krishnan, appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. Nifty is staying above 6,200, but after a gap up start, the market is not witnessing any fall or buying.